All praises. Brother Pete, you got Brother Josh, he's bringing out some great information that you know that you are not a Mexican, you're from the tribe of Issachar, right? But the children of Israel are a blessed people in the Bible. But if you look at the conditions that our people live in, are we a blessed people? Are we living at the top right now? No, right? So now we got to get into what happened to Issachar, what happened to Judah, what happened to, why are we not called these things no more? Why do we live in the ghetto everywhere we go, right? Like he was saying, they'll tell you go back to Mexico, but when they say go back to Mexico, they're not telling you Cancun. They want you to go to Juarez and the high murder place. That's what they telling you to go. They're not telling you to go live a prosperous life. They don't want nothing prosperous for you. But why does this happen to us? Watch this. We're going to show you with the Bible, right? You believe the Bible? You believe the Bible your whole life, right? I'm probably going to read some things to you in this Bible that you've never heard of in your whole life, and we've always had it. This is why we coming out here to our people, to show them what the Bible truly says, because for too long, we've been in traditions. We've been doing what grandma told me, my dad told me that, my grandma told me that, and that's why I do it. Instead of going in the Bible, we went in the Bible, and we're going to show you what happened to Issachar, what happened to the tribe of Israel. Watch this.
Deuteronomy 28:15. But it shall come to pass, if thou wilt not hearken unto the voice of the Lord thy God.
So this is Moses coming out of Egypt, right? He told the Israelites, those people on the side, it's going to happen if you don't listen to the voice of the Lord thy God. What's going to happen?
To observe to do all his commandments and his statutes, which I command thee this day.
It said to do these commandments and statutes. So that's one of the problems that's happening in our community. When we go into the church with the pastors or wherever we go in the mass or whatever, they're not teaching us to do the commandments of God. So God said he's going to tell us what happens if we don't do the commandments. This is what happens. Read.
That all these curses shall come upon thee and overtake thee.
Are curses a good thing or a bad thing, Pete? It's a bad thing, right? So God through Moses told the Israelites, if you don't listen and do these commandments that I'm telling you, all these bad things are going to happen to you, right? But when we go to church, they don't tell us to keep the commandments, right? And that's why these bad things that happen to us, because our people fell far from the commandments, right? But we're going to show you some things in these commandments that God said was going to happen, just to let you know and relate it. He gave you Issachar. Now we're going to show how we know the blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, we all could come from the tribe of Israel and what we got to do to fix it. Read 16. Watch this.
Deuteronomy 28:16. Cursed shalt thou be in the city.
He told the Israelites, if you don't keep my commandments, you're going to be cursed in every city that you go to, right? Every city you go to, Lubbock, Dallas, anywhere in the world, if you go to the ghetto, what people live in the ghetto? What people live in the worst parts of town?
No class.
Who's that? What race of people is it? Most of the time.
Most of the time.
The blacks and who else? The blacks and the Mexicans, right? But this is what Moses told the Israelites was going to happen to them. He said, if you break these commandments, every city you go to, you're going to be at the bottom, right? And we just figured out that happened to the blacks and the Mexicans. What else he said they was going to be cursed in?
And cursed shalt thou be in the field.
He said, and cursed shalt thou be in the field, right? When we was back in the days of slavery, who was cursed in the field? The blacks, right? But if you look around now and you go look at the cotton fields nowadays, the fruit fields and all that, who work in those fields right now for low wages? And so the Mexicans, that's the two birds. You got long hours, low wages. That's a curse in the field. We actually working in the field, and that's what God said was going to happen to the Israelites. And that's why they're not at the top where they're supposed to be at, right? Because they broke the commandments. That's why they cursed in the city, cursed in the field. Let's see some more things God said was going to happen to the Israelites. Read 31. 31, watch this.
Deuteronomy 28:31. Thine ox shall be slain before thine eyes.
It says, thine ox shall be slain before thine eyes, right? So, before the conquistadors and the other nations came, how did our people survive on this land? What that's similar to an ox? Nope. Remember, our people used to use the buffalo a lot, right? Follow around the buffalo and all that. What did they do when they came over here to conquer us? How did they get us under their subjection? They killed off the buffalo.
Right.
They killed off the buffalo. Now you ain't got your food source. You have to go to them for food. This is what God said was going to happen to his people. He said, even though you over there living good, I'm going to send a nation against you. They're going to kill all your buffalo. And you're going to have to depend on them. We're going to get to that in a minute. Watch this. Keep reading.
Shall be slain before thine eyes. and thou shalt not eat thereof.
And when they slayed the buffalo, it's a picture of a man sitting about 100,000 buffalo heads. It's just the heads of them, but they let the meat, they killed them, they didn't eat it, they let the meat rot. And all that, just to starve your people out, they let the meat rot on the ground. And that's what God said was going to happen. He said, your ox is going to be slain before your face, you ain't going to eat it. The same thing they did to us. Read.
And thou shalt not eat thereof. Thine ass shall be violently taken away from before thy face.
And he says that the animals we used to use to work, where are they at? What happened? We used to be ranchers and farmers on this land before they came over here. We had tilled the land, we was farmers, ranchers, we had cow and all that. Where they at now? They took it away and we ain't never got it back. This is the thing that God said was going to happen to his people, right? Let's read 48. Because like I was saying, they killed it off. Why? To starve y'all out. To make you have to go to them. Watch. Let's see if God said that was going to happen. 48.
Deuteronomy 28 and 48. Therefore shalt thou serve thy enemies.
So God said, because we broke his commandments, we're going to serve our enemies, right? So now we're going to get to figure out who's that enemy that God said we're going to serve. Watch this.
Which the Lord shall send against thee in hunger.
So whenever we get hungry, Pete, who do we have to go to for food? What race of people do we have to go to for food? What race of people controls the import and export of food in America? Is it our people? The white people, right? But God said you're going to have to serve food. What did God say we're going to have to serve? Watch this.
Therefore shalt thou serve thine enemies.
God said you're going to have to serve your enemies for food. And we just established one part, okay, food. Maybe it's somebody else, right? We got to serve the white man for food. Like if we go to the store and get it, wherever we go, they run it. The slaughterhouses, that's theirs, right? Yep. What else we got to serve them for?
And in thirst.
In thirst. It rains out the sky for free. But if you turn on your water, who do you pay a water bill to? LPNL, which is ran by who? Right. If you want a bottled water, and you get a bottled water to drink, who owns the bottled water company? Mostly the white people, right? Hold this real quick. Give me Lamentations 2 real quick. Watch this. I'm going to show you how that's Bible prophecy, right? Because we have to go to that race, the white people, to get water, right? That falls out the sky for free. But let's see what God said was going to happen to our people. Is it 2 and 5?
5 and 2.
5 and 2, I'm sorry. Lamentations 5 and 2. We're going to show that is true prophecy. We're going to see who did it happen to. Is this true? Is this Bible really true? First, have you ever heard that in the Bible? No. And that's the problem. We've been in churches all our lives, and we ain't read. This is Deuteronomy. It's first 5 books. We should read this 1,000 times, and we never seen it. Watch this. This is what the prophet Jeremiah said in Lamentations 5. Read that.
Lamentation 5 and 2. Our inheritance is turned to strangers. This is Jeremiah prophesying about the Israelites in the future. The so-called Mexicans, the so-called natives, the so-called blacks, right? He said our inheritance, which was this land, would belong to your people. He said it's going to be turned to strangers. Another nation is going to take over the land that once was ours. Texas used to be Tejas. It was ours, right? But now, do we own Texas? Are we the governors and do we make the rules of Texas? No, he said your inheritance is going to be turned to strangers, read. Our houses to aliens.
And they call us the illegal aliens. But who took the houses? The houses that was once ours was taken by that race. And God said they're the aliens. We're not the illegal aliens.
Right.
They're the illegal aliens. They came and took our land, right? But they'll send you back to Mexico. How you going to tell me that my forefathers from Mexico? They could have been from Texas. Because I'm Mexican and you move the border, I got to move with the border too. Right, that's they thinking of. That's what they think though.
I hate to cut you short, but I have to go to 7:30.
Okay, well, we ain't gonna eat too long. Give me Deuteronomy 28:68. Watch this. We're gonna get one more verse real quick. Watch this, because we gotta tie this. We gotta make sure you don't leave here, Pete, not understanding this information. What time we at?
We got 7:12.
Okay, read this.
Deuteronomy 28 and 68. And the Lord shall bring thee into Egypt again.
Remember, this is when Moses was bringing the Israelites out of Egypt, right? So when the Israelites were in Egypt, do you know what they were doing in Egypt? What was Moses famous for? No, Moses.
Oh,
remember,
Moses.
he split the Red Sea, right? Why was he splitting the Red Sea? Where was they coming from? In Egypt doing what? What was Moses' famous quote? Let my people go, right? They was like slaves, right? Watch this, go back, let's read that. Let me show you what the Bible did.
Deuteronomy 5 and 6. I am the Lord thy God, which brought thee out of the land of Egypt, from the house of bondage.
So God called Egypt the house of bondage, or the house of slavery. So when he said you're going to go back into Egypt, he's not talking about the land. You're going to go back into that condition of slavery again if you don't keep these commandments, right? Read.
Deuteronomy 28 and 68. And the Lord shall bring thee into Egypt again.
He's going to bring you into slavery again. How?
With ships.
God told the Israelites if they break his commandments, he's going to bring them to slavery again with ships. How did the black people get to America over here? We learned it in school, right? We didn't learn it in church, we learned it in school. How do we get here? By boat, right? Cargo slave ships. Question. What happened when Christopher Columbus, Hernan Cortez, and all of them came over here and so-called discovered America? What did they do with the people that was already here? They took them back to Europe on slave ships.
Right.
So the blacks were not the first people to go on slave ships. In 1492, y'all were actually the first people to go on slave ships because when they came, they took y'all back to Spain, back to Europe. You know what I'm saying? So that history is shared between us, but the schools only teach us the black people went to slavery. Why? Because they don't want you to know that we the same people.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? We got to divide their history. We got to tell you Catholic and you speak Spanish, and you Baptist and you speak English. So they can put that division between us. But God is telling us, no, it's no division. You the same people.
Right.
These same curses going to happen to all the children of Israel.
We used to scream black power while heroin was pushed. But at the end of the day, nothing's in vain. IUIC has been given a vision. The tents of Judah has risen. Many has attempted the mission. Minor murmuring, omitting, and missing the mark. Just reading that he had the flame of fire in his eyes gave us the spark. We on Paul's mission. We out on the road, purple and gold, from Mexico, Cuba, Haiti, Ghana, Sierra Leone. 144,000 boots banging, concrete crackling. These are our men repented at heart. The scriptures is proof. IUIC, we deliver the truth.